talk to me nice. Talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes. Don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. We time. You, I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how. Got this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk. You need to say let's do, babe. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. Good girl. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you're a good guy. Make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it. I wanna see it. See how. Rewind. When we rewind, it feels so nice. I can't help how. Got this sweet
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. If I show up on the show, that'd be a good idea too. Hey, there I am. Hi there. Welcome to FTG Thursday on the Morning Night Live. I don't know why I named. I was kind of at a loss for what the name of the show today, and so it just ended up being this overdue because, well, one of the people that we all love and know and love and loved and wish we didn't know, she's might be in a little trouble, but I'm not going to get to that for a while because there's a whole bunch of stuff. Plus I've got to tweet out the show, which I haven't done yet, but I see that you're here and that's fantastic. Must have got the notifications from YouTube, so that's a good start. Welcome, and we'll just get into it after the intro. Johnny, please play the intro. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight.
And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. And I'm having some challenges here. And welcome back to the PDawgKnight Channel. Love to see you here. Today is Thursday, FTG Thursday. You know what that means. If you don't know what that means, ask somebody in the chat. The 7th of July, the 8th of July, Thursday, 2021. And I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm happy that I'm here. Although I'm sitting here trying to figure out, I've got so many social media accounts that I have to tweet this out to now. By the way, I have opened a Getter account because if you want to get down in the Getter, that's the only place you can go. I'm waiting for, I'm kind of waiting to see what becomes of this. Is this thing working? God dang it. There we go. There we go. I'm posting on all the other places that I'm on. So now, if you ever want to find me, just look for me at PDawgKnight on any social media that you can come up with, because I've got an account on all of them. I don't know that I'll ever go to all of them, but I'm certainly going to post the show on all of them, and eventually maybe get some followers on some of these other accounts. I do have followers on Minds. I do have a few followers on Gab. Again, if you get kicked off of your favorite social media, open an alternative account. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on all of them. And oh, good God, what is going on with Cloud Hub? I don't even know. I it's funny. I'm on Cloud Hub here, and I haven't quite figured out how to use it. I mean, I use it. But there's just so many of these now, and people actually post on them, which is fascinating. But a lot of times what I find is that people post things from Twitter onto Cloud Hub. I think on some of these alternative social media. I think it's kind of funny in some ways. And, it is what it is. One of these will take off and become an alternative. It's funny. I think Parler is having trouble again. And I don't know if that's because of the advent of this new Getter. Getter apparently is the Donald Trump endorsed whatever account, and I don't know if he's on it or not, but apparently a couple of his former staffers have come up with this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with these. I don't have any followers on that. Oh my gosh, what the hell? Oh no, that's something else. Someone actually posted there. Okay, whatever. All right, I'm done with those. Anyway, how are y'all doing today? It's Thursday, almost the weekend, and there was a ton of stuff today in my aggregator on the battle over critical race theory, and it's fascinating because there's a interview or segment on Aaron Burnett's show that I just want you to watch the beginning of with me, because it was really, really weird how this starts out. And so we'll get into that as soon as I get to the good mornings. What is going on here? This is way behind. There, let's put that there. So anyway, let's say good morning to everyone in the chat, because I've got 25 people here, and you are just, I'm sure you just want to know, oh, what the hell? Oh my gosh. Sometimes there's no benefit into getting home early, like earlier than normal. I think I have a harder time getting my stuff together when I'm here, when I have more time than when I have less. So I forgot to do this. So let me just do this. This is not my best show. If you're here the first time or just watching this for the first time, please don't judge me by the first, how many seconds is this? However many seconds this is. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, because it's not going well. All right, let's say good morning to the people in the chat. First in the chat today is Mike Savage, Blarg. And you get the bell. Thank you for being here. And my monitor's not turned up enough. There we go. I can hear better now. Also, good morning to Fox P2. Just missed being first, like literally seconds. Also, good morning, James Colley. Yes, it is boomer time. I am the last of the boomers, the first of the Gen Xers. Good morning, Jonathan Peterson. What's happening? Good morning, Thomas Cleaver, who says first. Fantastic. All hail the last boomer, for his tube socks stay up just under his knees, no matter danger. James, I got to tell you, I am from that generation. When I played 7th grade basketball, my tube socks were all the way up to my knees. Remember, how many of you remember when the Los Angeles Lakers had Showtime, right? Just right around the early 80s when Magic Johnson came out of school in 79 and the Lakers were the Showtime, Showtime. Magic Johnson, Michael Cooper, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They were fantastic. But Michael Cooper, skinny little dude, very dark-skinned black dude, had those white socks that went almost up over his knees. And I'll tell you what, that was a late 70s thing. When I was in 7th and 8th grade basketball, that was me. I had the socks all the way up to my knees. So that's funny you should say that, James Colley. Just gives me memories. I'm just laughing. Anyway, good morning, Cannibalistic Wizard. Pickle Turtle. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. But anyway, John Smith saying good morning to Elizabeth for me. Also, Somnambule Nation's in the house, who's lurking today. Thank you for inviting me to have a great show. Also, good morning, MC.
Hammer time.
Nice to see you, Tyler F. What's up? Assassin of the Gray, who puts everything out on the Discords for me. That's awesome. Good morning, Aaron Meredith. Good morning, Always Lost on Nothing Else, a.k.a. Alone. Good morning, TOS. Shrooms in the house. Nice to see you. Advocatus Dobley's here, the Devil's Advocate. Jim Beam. I could use a shot of that right now. And also, good morning, Horrible Gamer. And Uncle Bad Touch.
Come on, man.
I know who you are. I know who you really are. I know what that means. Uncle Bad Touch. Yeah, I know. Anyway, Attack Alpaca's in the house. Bastard Beast in the house. It is fantastic to see you all here. All right, let's get into this because I wanted to show. Oh, I didn't even do this on Twitter. That was dumb. Let me click that. All right. So I wanted to, for whatever reason, critical race theory is the topic of the day on a lot of these media outlets. It's because part of it is that the more people talk about it and starting to learn what it is, the less they like it, right? But then also the more the people in the schools say that it's not being taught, but then one of the big teachers unions says they want it to be taught. And I'm just trying to figure out who's telling the truth and who's lying. Well, we know who's lying because I saw this interview with Aaron Burnett, and this may take up a lot of time. I have tons of tabs open. I may not get to many of them today. May not get to all of them but there's a lot of good stuff you got to read. If you have time to read, check the link in the description below. After the show, I'll have my one tab link that'll have all the articles and videos that we talk about today. But this video, this report by Aaron Burnett on This Is CNN is fascinating to me because what the hell's going on here? Why is that screen not right? This is the YouTube one. Okay, fine. We'll fix this. It's fascinating by how it begins and how this interview begins. First, how this is being framed by Aaron Burnett and CNN, which is no surprise. They are, anything that anyone on the right says to them is wrong, which, I'm used to that. But listen, we're going to listen to the framing of this, and we're going to listen. Oh, I don't even have a chat in there. Why is my chat not up there? What's going on here? That's weird. Hang on a second. Oh, it's there, but it's not there. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's fix that real quick. What happened to it? Okay, for some reason it's not. Okay, that's not it. Where is it? All right, well, whatever. We're still going to watch this video. We'll do full screen on this one. Sorry, I just couldn't get this to fit my screen for some reason. There we go. All right, here we go. We're going to watch the beginning of this because it's fascinating. It is fascinating. That CRT has never been tried. Yeah, it is because it does border on Marxism. But anyway, this is not even what happened to all my damn screens? Oh, I know what happened there. Anyway, all right, so let's watch the beginning of this because it's fascinating how she frames things.
Truth is not radical or wrong.
Hold up. It's interesting. I'm going to start again.
Tonight, teaching the truth is not radical or wrong. That was the message today from the president of one of the largest teachers unions in the United States.
So Randy Weingartner, who is the president of one of the largest teachers unions in the United States, says teaching the truth is not radical or wrong. So apparently, because this, again, it's a theory, that you are, by the nature of your birth and what color your skin is, your melanin content determines whether or not you're an oppressor or you're oppressed. Now, there are some elements where they're talking about in the law and saying that the laws of our nation are inherently racist because reasons. But that first statement right there tells you off the bat that what they want to push. They're saying teaching the truth is not radical or wrong. Well, what is the truth? We'll continue.
Who are fighting back as Republican leaders in several states try to restrict how teachers teach racism in the classroom.
So they're trying to restrict how people teach racism in the classroom. What's funny is that they are teaching racism in the classroom. They're teaching you that you have certain privilege and or immunity or oppression, or you are an oppressor based on your race. The content of the melanin in your skin determines what type of person you are in this theory.
Ellie Reeve is out front.
Now listen to this.
There are thousands of parents all over the U.S. of all races who have been speaking out against CRT, and rightfully so. These are my babies, not yours. If you are embarrassed or ashamed of your skin color, that's your issue, not mine nor my children.
This is a school board meeting in a suburb of Philadelphia, where a small group of very vocal parents are speaking out against critical race.
Oh, it's just a small group. Small group. Is a small group insignificant? Curious. I'm just telling you about the framing here. Listen to the framing of this.
Race theory, or CRT.
We do not want our children to be taught that America is systemically racist.
600,000 people.
Now, notice how they clipped that tiny. I want to know what else he said, because you clipped that out. Notice how little of what he said was clipped out of there. We do not want to teach our children that America is systemically racist. Where if you hear that, everyone's like, oh yeah, it is systemically racist. Oh, he just doesn't want to teach the truth. Because remember, she framed it by what Randy Weingarten said. Teaching the truth is not radical or wrong. And now they're showing people talking about what truth that they should be teaching.
Died in the Civil War to end racism and slavery. Don't rewrite factual history or indoctrinate, just present the facts.
In the wake of protests of the murder of George Floyd, Republican politicians have been hyping critical...
Oh, is it because of the murder of George Floyd? That's why Republicans are hyping this? Really? Oh, those evil Republicans.
Race theory as a threat to the impressionable minds of America's children.
Is it just Republicans, though? It's funny. I've seen all types of people fighting back against this. Anyway.
Critical race theory says every white person is a racist. Yeah. Critical race theory says America is fundamentally racist and irredeemably racist.
In more than 12 states, legislators have proposed bills to ban CRT. Mm-hmm. We wanted to meet the actual people working with actual kids in actual schools.
Now, wait. Listen to this. This is, if you can't okay. I'm just listen carefully. Listen very carefully. Just listen very carefully to what you're about to hear.
So we talked to Keziah Ridgway, who teaches high school African American history and discusses CRT in her anthropology class.
Can I just start with a very simple, what is critical race theory?
Yes. Critical race theory is not being taught in schools.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Whoa! Wait. Did I miss something there? Did I hear what? I heard something else here. Hold up. Let's go back.
Schools. So we talked to Keziah Ridgway, who teaches high school African American history and discusses CRT in her anthropology class.
And discusses CRT in her anthropology class. What was the first thing she just said?
Can I just start with a very simple, what is critical race theory?
Yes. Critical race theory is not being taught in schools.
Wait, didn't they just say she's teaching it in a part of her anthropology class or some shit like that? I could have sworn she just said they were teaching it. But let's continue. Listen to this.
It is a theory. It is a lens by which to view history and the way that law and race kind of overlaps and connects in society.
Is that all it is? Oh, just a way that. Okay, now let's keep going.
Can it influence the way that some teachers teach? Yeah, but that's a good thing, right? Because race.
Maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to step on that. Hang on. Can it? It was from here.
Can it influence the way that some teachers teach? Yeah, but that's a good thing, right? Because race and racism is literally the building blocks of this country. So,
is it? Is it? Huh. It's literally the building blocks of this country, race and racism. Have we done? It's almost as though we've never done any work on this. It's really weird to hear that. Anyway.
So how can you not talk about it?
Critical race theory is an academic framework.
It's not that no. It's not that we don't want to talk about it. We do talk about it, and we talk about why it's wrong and why people why we need to all learn to live together, right? And I think we had been doing that. I think we've had movements to try to live together, and we've done fairly good but interesting. But for some reason, we do like to gloss over some problems. We like to emphasize other problems, and it's fascinating. It's just fascinating to me.
As racial inequality is perpetuated by the racism embedded in America's laws.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back because this is interesting. She's saying she's giving a description of critical. It's funny because they're all going back to this. It's only been taught in law schools, and so listen to how she so she goes back and describes it in this way. What critical race theory is.
So how can you not talk about it?
Critical race theory is an academic framework that says racial inequality is perpetuated by the racism embedded in America's laws, not by individual bigotry. But relentless propaganda from some conservatives has created a panic that white people, and especially white children, are under attack.
Now, okay, so again, they're blaming it on Republicans as something. This is the Republican pounce. This is the Republican pounce theory of reporting, of journalism. It's something that Republicans are pouncing on, and they're just wrong. And so now they're going to give you a bunch of examples of how Republicans are saying this wrong. And I think, I'm not sure what DeSantis here is correct or not, but it's interesting how this is the Republicans' pounce.
Race theory is basically teaching people to hate our country.
Schools are embracing this ideology and forcing white students and white teachers to be ashamed of their own skin color.
It's not critical race theory, it's racism.
These are systemic things, Ignoring it perpetuates the problem.
Okay, tell me, and again, this is one of those things that Ben Shapiro would say. Well, if it's systemic things, tell me the system. Is it the system, or is it the is the system the problem, or are people the problem? Tell me the system that is specifically causing the problems for different people based on this color of their skin. Is it the color of their skin, or is it by their actions? And so that's interesting to me.
Acknowledging it, we can find solutions and we can address the problems and the inequality that exists in our country.
Can you? So when she says inequality, because again, I think it was Thomas Sowell or something like that. When it says you can't predict two children growing up in the same households, the exact same parents, exact same advantages are going to turn out equal. So how do you plan on every single person in society turning out equal? Now you cannot deny the historical things that have happened to people and historical things that, have held people down in the past. And granted, some people are not going to get through that after a generation or two, because there's a mental set that people have that cause you to, you get set mentally. And also if you have a system where you're told, or not a system, just a mentality where you're told that you're not going to be shit, well, they probably have no ambition to try to be anything better because you're told you can't. So that's the other problem. Good morning, King on Common Law. Anyway.
And so I think teaching it this way actually does the opposite of what these people say it does.
Are you teaching children to hate America?
Yes.
No, I'm teaching children to question America.
Oh.
And that's what makes a good patriot.
Oh, that's a good spin.
Don't force on our kids a particular worldview. Taking a white brush and painting this country as structurally racist, it's insane.
Why is it insane, though? I mean,
it's a lie.
Last year, Alana Fishbein says she received an email from her kids' school that students would be learning more about the role of race in American society. She thought the materials were racist, so she pulled her kids out of public school. Then she created an advocacy group, No Left Turn in Education, to draw attention to her claims that CRT is poisoning young minds.
This isn't distant history. In the 90s, the crime bill gave much more severe sentencing to crack cocaine versus powder cocaine simply because Black people were perceived as doing crack cocaine.
Oh, is that why they did it? Is that who pushed for that? Anyone remember who pushed for that? Because where was the crime around cocaine happening? It was happening in Black communities. And I'm pretty sure that the Congressional Black Caucus was all gung-ho about trying to fix that problem. Well, is that a systemic racism problem, or is that them trying to fix a community problem and it had a disparate effect? Now, granted, could you say that's systemic? Well, was the crime problem where people were using powder cocaine as bad as it was with the crack cocaine? Because if you remember, this is during the murder 90s, when, in fact, when he called Minneapolis, it was a joke. We used to call it Murderapolis. Hello, Jesse Leon. How you doing? Hey, Kingslayer Damocles. Nice to see you there. But there was a very in the 90s, the crack epidemic caused so much turmoil in the cities. Powder cocaine users could afford lawyers. Yeah, that's probably part of it too. But that's all part of that crime bill that initially was supported by the Democrats. And they were very proud of that bill. And then later on, some of the people in the Congressional Black Caucus said, hey, there's something wrong here. This is not working, and correctly and rightly so. It did cause a lot more. People in the cities, and the cities were predominantly black, and that did cause a lot more black people to go to jail. Anyway, let's go.
And white people.
Ask Joe Biden why he did that.
I think that's a great question. Wait, but this Joe Biden, I think, is a perfect illustration, right? Joe Biden would present himself as
Nice. By the way, Kingslayer Damocles, good to see you back. Your work shut down so you can actually watch it. Well, nice to have you back. I haven't seen you for a while. Welcome back, by the way.
a nice guy who would never have a racist bone in his body, yet he participated in creating these laws.
Whoa, wait, I missed that. Hang on.
That's a great question. Wait, but this Joe Biden, I think, is a perfect illustration, right? Joe Biden would present himself as a nice guy who would never have a racist bone in his body, yet he participated in creating these laws that have a strong.
Now, in fact, I think it was it on the House side? I want to say it was Charlie Rangel, who initially was really gung-ho about Joe Biden's crime bill and helped push it. And then Charlie Rangel later decided that, oh no, that was a mistake. I mean, it interesting. Anyway, let's see.
Structural effect of affecting Black people more than white people.
But we don't have.
And again, it affected poorer people in the cities more than it affected people who could afford lawyers, as Bastard Beast would say. It affected people because buying rocks was cheaper than buying powder cocaine, and it was so yeah, it in the fact that it hurt urban people more than suburban people, and because the crime happened in urban areas, of course, that was the effect. Anyway,
Them now.
People affected by that law are still alive.
We're talking about something entirely different now. This is my taxpayers' money. I don't want it to go to indoctrinate kids that then are going to hate my kids because.
And again, so this is another place where I go, is it racist because of the law was written to be racist, the way she presented it at the beginning there? Or did it affect people in urban areas because of their behavior? See, when you say something systemically racist, is it because it's intentional? Was it intentional that they wanted to put more Black people in jail? I guess I'm hedging on this a little bit, but anyway.
Because of the color of their skin, and attack them because of the color of the skin. What happened in the summer, it twisted the minds of all kids. My kids can be attacked by Antifa kids or BLM kids that are not Black. They are white like my kids. But they are believing, they were indoctrinated, and they internalized this philosophy.
Were your children beat up by Antifa kids?
Here's the other part here. So one thing that the George Floyd protests brought out that's still fascinates me, and I want to ask any person who maybe sat out there and protested, over the summer over people who were killed by police. Well, not people who, because it would seem to be I don't ever saw a protest over a white person being killed by police. Not that I can remember, but every time that someone Black in the Dog Bites Man events killed by police, because again, it's a tiny fraction of people who are being killed, but not that it's right. I'm not even saying that, but I always want to ask this question: did George Floyd die prematurely because he is black? And if you ask people who were protesting over the last summer, I bet you 98% of them would say yes. But is that even true? Or would they? I don't know. I want to ask that question because did George Floyd die because he was black? Did the guy at the store call the police on George Floyd because he was black? Did George Floyd pass a fake 20 because he is black? Did the officers come to the call at the store after they called the police because George Floyd is black? Did George Floyd fight the police on getting into the police car because he is black? Did Derek Chauvin put George Floyd on the ground because he was black? Did the police officers restrain George Floyd because he is black? I can't say that. And I'll say that with any of these. Did Breonna Taylor get shot because she is black? And the thing is, these people in these protests, who I don't have any, they should be protesting some of these. I mean, some of these are clearly bad cases. But but did they die because they were black? And that's what people want to tell you, that they died, that there's some system that because the people who end up in these situations are dying because they're black, when I can give you examples of every race this happens to. But right now, it's the mantra is police are out hunting black men or black people. When the only case, there are cases where, well, let's take Philando Castile, for example. Did Philando Castile die because he was black? Well, he very closely fit the description of a person who was in an armed robbery that they have photos of, that they had a briefing that morning about in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. And he matched the description. So maybe he died because he was black and had similar braids to the guy in the similar build, the guy in the photo of the armed robbery. Now, we're not saying that he was the armed robber, but is that what the officer saw? So maybe in that case, he died because he was black and had the similar hair and matched the description. But did he have a gun in his lap because he was black? Well, I don't know. You can't say that's it. But and go through any case. Did Tamir Rice die because he was black? And that's a case where, okay, what was the call? Why did the police show up? The police weren't called on a black person, on a black kid with a toy gun. Okay. The police came because someone called and said there was a person in the park pointing a gun at people and scaring them. And so when they came, they saw a 5'8", 160-pound person, which could have been a man, in clothing that you could not identify their age. And when that person pulled a gun that looked real, the police shot him. It's awful tragedy. Not the first, and not the only kid who was shot with a toy gun that year, by the way. But did he die because he was black? And so the activists are trying to convince you that these people are dying because they are black. And I haven't really seen that case yet. Other than maybe Philando Castile, because he matched the description of a subject of an armed robbery and was thought to be armed and dangerous, which he happened to be armed. But was he dangerous? Well, that remains to be seen. I don't think he was. And so that's the one case I'm kind of surprised that didn't go a different way. If it was this year and that happened, that cop would have probably lost more than his job. He would have lost his freedom because that's the climate we're in now. But anyway, let's continue on this, and then we're going to get into some news here.
I beg your pardon?
Were your children beat up by Antifa kids?
I'm talking, it's going to happen if we're not going to stop it. But we are going to stop it. We are the great majority of this country.
I wonder. It's interesting they have a woman with an accent in this because, they wanted to portray it as white people. But anyway.
CRT propaganda is drawing big crowds.
Oh. Did you hear what she just said again? This is framing. Listen to the framing. Listen to the framing she uses in this next sentence.
Anti-CRT propaganda is drawing big crowds.
Anti-CRT propaganda. Do you think that any of these people are actually looking up what they're talking about? Do you think anyone in any of these crowds are looking it up at all? Have they read it? Has anyone who talks about this read anything about it? Maybe even from the sources? Do you think, or are they just all making this up? It's fascinating. Anti-CRT propaganda. Again, this is CNN. Hello, People's Front of Canada. How you doing?
Of course, I'm against critical race theory.
More than 100 people showed up at this diner near Baltimore.
Wow, it looks like a pretty diverse crowd there.
Republican groups held a panel on school COVID shutdowns and CRT.
Well, you know what? Parents are pretty pissed off about the COVID shutdowns too. Anyway.
Is critical race theory.
Critical race theory is the idea that's taught to our nation's youth that the way that you're born contributes to the amount of success that you can achieve in this country. It basically states that white people are born with everything, and if you're not white, you're born with nothing.
Can you name any critical race theory scholars?
Probably not.
Can you name any critical race theory concepts?
I don't know what the concepts are. I think I.
Okay, now, how many people has she interviewed to get this guy? Again, is this selective editing? Picking one guy? And notice what shirt he's wearing. Oh, the come and take it shirt. Oh, this guy's a gun nut, right wing, white, one of these guys.
You're fucking a white male!
It's so funny how they do this. Could she have talked to somebody who does know what they're talking about? Or could she have shown somebody that she questioned who does know what they're talking about a little more?
I think I summarized critical race theory as a whole pretty well.
To paint the country as a inherently racist country from its founding, I think is dangerous.
The Three-Fifths Compromise is written into the Constitution, in which slaves are counted as 3/5 of a...
Of course, and that was applied at an earlier time. That is not the case now.
Oh,
well,
whoa! Now the 3/5 Compromise. So what does that mean to her? I wonder if she can explain the 3/5 Compromise. I'm curious if she can. That's funny. She brings that up, and look. The 3/5 Compromise, again, was that a pro-slavery compromise or an anti slavery compromise? Was it the start? Because remember, there were people who wanted the abolition, didn't want to count them at all because they didn't believe in the institution of slavery in the 3/5 compromise. But was that, it's funny because a lot of people say, well, black people are only thought of as 3/5 of a man. That's not what the purpose of it was. It was because the South wanted to be able to count everybody. And it's like, these people have no rights. How are you going to count them? But they wanted to make sure that they formed a union. Now, one generation later, they banned slavery. Now, for more than just a reason of a war, also because of technology, let's just say that slavery would have been obsolete at some point anyway. But this war over the secession and who's determining who could do what was obviously a big part of it too.
You just mentioned the founding of the country, so.
Well, yeah, it wasn't perfectly written in the Constitution.
When did you first hear about critical race theory?
Sometime around last year.
Where'd you see it?
On Fox News. The idea that you can
just on
succeed
Fox
based on your
News.
race is ludicrous. This is not the 1960s anymore. Just because of your skin color does not mean that you cannot be successful here in America. Point blank, period.
I teach these books for my anthropology class.
Are you
Did you see the book that was on top? I think, if you're familiar, Howard Zinn, The Young People's History of the United States. So she's got, now it's funny because I can't see what these are. So she's got Zen. And look, I don't complain about, Zen is an interesting character. Some would say it's the anti-American history of America, but he's very focused on the warts and not the rest of the body, but it is what it is. I think it's important to know some of that. What is this one though? This one, African American. It's funny because they don't have this in focus. So you can't even tell what books. This is the only book you can see when she says, these are the books I use when I teach anthropology. Interesting.
Are you teaching white kids to hate themselves for being white?
No.
Are you teaching black kids that there's nothing they can do to improve their situation?
Absolutely
because
not.
There's racism and they can never fight it, so they should give up?
Absolutely not.
See, I struggle with this because it's not that she's teaching that, but it's what do they hear? Okay. And I'm not sure how deeply they go into critical race theory in her classes or whatnot, but there's got to be some. If you're pounding in if you're pounding in the idea that the country built by white people was built to hold people back or to oppress people, well, first of all, what are the oppressed people? The oppressed going to say, are going to learn, what going to think.
I'm creating little free thinkers and future politicians and lawyers and teachers and change makers.
Change makers.
Our kids are smart. They know what's happening. And I think we do them a disservice by continuing to pretend like critical race theory is the issue when it's really you just don't want kids to learn the truth. Because not only do they become critical thinkers, they also become voters. And that is what's scaring a lot of these people, because they know that as this generation gets older, a lot of these people that are making these laws will be voted out of office.
Oh, so she's making, maybe it's a little indoctrination machine. I don't know. Howard Zinn is a fraud. Prove me wrong. Oh boy. Anyway. All right. So anyway, that's fascinating. I don't necessarily need to hear her talk to Aaron Burnett. But I just think it's fascinating. The very first thing she says, they said, they're not teaching it in schools, but we're teaching it in schools. I don't know. Is there a value to learning any of it? I don't know. All right, real quick, let me do a couple thank yous. Thank you, Jack Cochran and Renee Mayette who's Jack Polly, Lots Sands 01, and also Somnambule Nation for tweeting out the show today. I appreciate it. By the way, if you're here, I was going to make a poem, but never mind. Welcome again to the show. Thank you for those who are here. While you're thinking about it, or if you haven't thought about it, hit the like button if you like what we're doing. Also, please share the stream out. If you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section. And you can be a sponsor of the show through YouTube SuperChats down somewhere over there, something like that. And or Streamlabs if you'd rather not give Susan 30% of your money, and it helps out the show and it helps out me because oh my god, I got a daughter getting married. So anyway, let's get into some of the other things. Now it's interesting because this is the Daily Wire take on that particular CNN broadcast. CNN, which bills itself as the most trusted name in news, this is CNN, repeatedly contradicted itself during a segment chalking up the nationwide multiracial backlash. I keep saying that. It's kind of funny. Against critical race theory to panic caused by relentless propaganda. Yes, everyone's propagandizing this. The interview features a CRT public school teacher who insists CRT is not taught in public schools. And then she says she's the only teacher she knows in Philadelphia who uses critical race theory in public high school. Well, wait a minute. If it's not being taught, how can it be in your class? I don't know. It's fascinating. But that you saw that yourself, so I'm not going to go through that one. Hear from the Daily Caller also. And then now this mom, apparently her daughter got expelled her kids for questioning critical race theory. Now this is fascinating. Mothers who spoke out on Fox and Friends Wednesday morning for a private school in Ohio, or after a private school in Ohio allegedly expelled their children after they spoke out against critical race theory. Columbus Academy will not re-enroll Amy Gonzalez's child and two of Andrea Gross's children because the mothers allegedly breached a contract by leading a campaign against the school's alleged efforts to indoctrinate students with leftist ideology. Let's see, is this I don't know if the interview's on here. I don't think so, and I don't want to go into interviews anyway. One said, I feel like it's unfortunate that when you're speaking out and you're trying to say your truth, unfortunately, there are people who want to retaliate against you, Gross told Fox and Friends first. Alongside Gonzalez, in this case, they retaliated against our children who are innocent. So they got the children of these two parents were expelled for what their parents said. Gross and Gonzalez asked about Columbus Academy's activities about race and anti-conservative leanings for months, according to Fox News. Both are members of the pro-CA coalition that fights against critical race theory being taught in Columbus Academy. CRT holds, we've gone through this. Here, CRT holds that America is fundamentally racist, yet it teaches students to view every social interaction and person in terms of race. Adherents pursue anti-racism through end of merit, objective truth, and adoption of race-based policies. She said, we tried the best way possible to represent and speak up not only for our children, but also our teachers, Gonzalez told host Todd Piro. At a private school, they did not have a union. I believe a lot of it's coming from the National Association of Independent Schools. So anyway, that's, I don't know, getting kicked out is because of your parents. I suppose it's not the first time that's happened in any kind of school, but still not good. Hello, Jedi Ghost Bear. Good morning. And happy belated birthday. Wasn't it your birthday yesterday or is it today? I can't remember. I heard it was your birthday. I just can't remember when I heard it. So hopefully, and this one says you cannot have any more birthdays this year. Well, what day was that? Yesterday or today? Also, Anna Lynn, what's happening? All right. Also, a whole bunch of, and then the Nevada mom discusses CRT lawsuit against her son's charter school. That was a Jeff Charles. I missed that interview. I gotta see this. So Gabrielle Clark thought that things would be smooth sailing for her son William, but ended up having an unbelievable experience with their child's Las Vegas, Nevada charter school, the Democracy Prep Agassi campus. In a fundraising page on Give, Send, Go, Clark claimed her son was given an assignment that required him to list race, religion, sexual orientation, and disabilities, and then to assign labels to them. Her son refused, and teachers allegedly threatened to fail him. I'm biracial. My mother was black. My father was white, Clark told Jeff Charles on a July 7th episode of the podcast, A Fresh Perspective with Jeff Charles. By the way, shout out to Jeff Charles. He used to write for Red State. I think he still does, and he also has his podcast on YouTube. She then went on to explain that she was married twice, once to a black man, once to a white man. So I have some kids who are 3/4 black and some kids who are 3/4 white. I'm not sure how that works. Oh, I see. Grandparents. She went on to ask, when this all happened, I'm thinking, so my white kids are oppressing my black kids? Is that what they're saying? In fact, what I'm going to do, I will put this on, let's see, let's open this up so that there'll be a link to this podcast, because it is very interesting, and I'm going to go back and watch it too. I saw the article, but I just, whatever. So after her son's graduation was threatened, Clark filed a suit against the school. In a document titled First Amended Complaint, EFC number 106, filed on May 3rd, Clark said she was told by DPAC, which is the school principal, Adam Johnson, that the Sociology of Change course used intersectionality as its theoretical basis, and was inspired by political activist, academic, and critical race theory proponents Kimberly Crenshaw. Critical race. Okay, they give a definition here. The lesson categorized certain racial and religious identities as inherently oppressive, singling out these identities out in bold text, and instructed pupils, including William, who fell into these categories, to accept the label oppressor regardless of whether they disagreed with the pejorative characterization of their heritage, convictions, and identities, the suit went on to say. So great. So having I couldn't imagine being in that situation. Good morning, Gamer Valine. I see you there. Day before yesterday, thank you very much. Well, I knew your birthday was nearby, so happy birthday, happy belated birthday, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, Jenna Ghost Bear, happy birthday to you. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with Randy Weingarten. I'm not going to get through a whole lot today because I'm a little bit behind here. Randy Weingarten has denied a woke infiltration of classrooms. She's now vowing to defend the right to teach it. The president of the nation's second largest teacher union vowed to defend educators who face backlash for teaching critical race theory hours after denying that the ideology has entered the classroom. She tweeted, hashtag critical race theory is not taught in K-12 schools. The president of the American Federation of Teachers tweeted Tuesday, quote, the rights culture warriors are labeling any discussion of race, racism, and discrimination as such to try to make it toxic. They're toxic. They're bullying teachers and trying to keep them from teaching the truth. Wait, it's not taught in K-12s, but they're trying to keep them from teaching the truth. Anyway, later that day, Education Week published an article titled, quote, teachers unions vow to defend members in critical race theory fight. In the piece, Weingarten said if any educator faces backlash for teaching about race, the union will have their back. And then the teachers union have largely supported schools' embrace of critical race theory. The American Federation of Teachers has promoted critical race theory as an irreplaceable lens through which Americans can look at the country's past. The National Education Association, the nation's largest teacher union this week, and adopted measures to promote critical race theory in K-12 classrooms and conduct research on the organizations attacking educators doing anti-racist work. So they got the language down. It's just funny, though. We're not teaching it, but we're promoting teaching it. Fantastic. And like I said, there's several articles on this one. What are they trying to hide? CRT resolutions mysteriously disappear from teachers union website. Oh, what? What's that? Okay, I'm going to do this. Last week, the National Education Association, the largest teachers union in America, passed resolutions promoting Marxist critical race theory in schools and committing to fighting CRT opponents. Days after the 2021 annual meeting and representative assembly, dozens of those assembly resolutions and proposed resolutions disappeared from the NEA website. Oh, psych! Jennifer Anderson, the executive director at Heritage Action, first noted the deletions on Tuesday. Quote, the NEA, the nation's largest teachers union, used their annual business meeting to cement a coordinated national campaign to advance the divisive critical race theory ideology. Once the news broke, parents everywhere erupted with concern. Now the NEA is working to cover up their indoctrination of America's students and teachers by scrubbing the agenda items from their website. So it was there, and then they scrubbed it. Not found. This article goes deep into it, but that's just funny to me that, oh, it was there, but now we're going to hide it. Now, why would they hide it? Why would they take it off their website? If they believed in it, they shouldn't take it off their website. And also, it's funny because now this is a Nolte column on Breitbart. Leftists freak out at the thoughts of cameras exposing fanatical CRT teachers. HuffPost is freaking out over Tucker Carlson's suggestion that cameras be placed in public school classrooms. Tuckerson goes full 1984 with cameras in the classroom proposal. You know, yeah, that is a little 1984ish, I guess, but these are schools. The parents should know what's happening in them. Why? Well, no, I don't know if I like that idea anyway. The Fox News personality suggested police-style body cameras to check on what every teacher is telling their students. Well, they want body cameras on cops, so I see that'd be interesting to have body cameras on teachers. Carl said in a rant reminiscent of something from George Orwell's classic dystopian novel, 1984, author Lee Moran Bleets called the teaching that racism is at least partly systemic. That's not what they're teaching, though. Oh, my God. Anyway, called it a civilization-ending poison and BS. Okay, now this is Nolte saying, before we go any further, I've read 1984 at least 3 times, and I'm unfamiliar with anything Tucker said that is reminiscent of something from George Orwell's classic dystopian novel. Well, I don't think okay, let me think about this. It's not 84, it's the government telling you that they're nuts, not the person trying to expose the government. So maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Tucker has a point. We need to be watching them, not allowing us to watch them. In fact, Tucker suggested is the exact opposite of something from George Orwell's novel. Tucker suggesting we monitor the government. Oh, see, he's making the same point. 1984 is about, among other things, the government monitoring private citizens. So Moran got his metaphor exactly wrong, which tells me he's probably a product of government-run public schools. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? The one benefit that the Zoom classroom things, from the pandemic did, I think did help for parents is they got to watch what their kids were being taught. And sometimes some teachers got caught teaching some crazy shit. Anyway, have we had enough of critical race theory this morning? I know I have. So there's a couple more articles that I have up here, but I'm not going to go through them. But the one that if you're going to read one of them after the show, again, these will all be in the one tab link in the description after the show. This one, parents don't want critical race theory, so of course the nation's largest teacher union just decided to push it harder. Which, but again, it got scrubbed off the website. That's fun. Oh, this is the part that got scrubbed off the website. Fascinating. All right, so you can look that one up there. All right, enough of this. All right, let's get into just things that happen. Let's get into some news. So apparently Al Sharpton is saying that we must have a balance of outrage over police shootings and violent crime in black communities. Reverend Al Sharpton, founder and president of the National Action Network, said Wednesday that people should be just as outraged with violent crime in the black community as they are with police shooting people. Wow. Where have I heard that point before? Especially since one happens about 1,500 times more than the other. And that's just I mean, it's at least 1,000 to 1, right? No, it's not 1,000 to 1. I'm talking about unarmed police shootings. It's about 1,000 to 1. So yeah, maybe, just maybe, he's making a good point here. During an appearance on MSNBC's Morning Joe, Sharpton said that the rise in violent crime in black and brown communities is a very, very serious problem. I'm surprised that's not caused by systemic racism. He says, I was in a place called Beebe, Arkansas yesterday doing the eulogy of a funeral of a young white teenager named Hunter Britton that was killed by the police. But the irony is, when I got to Little Rock, Joe, to prepare a sermon yesterday, a black that was working in the restaurant said, I hope you go over to what was the black community and talk about these kids shooting each other, he said. 4 kids killed each other over the weekend. There's just as much concern about what's going on with gun violence. Again, they're blaming it on gun. They say gun violence to blame it on guns. No, it's not gun violence. It's people violence. People violence. This kind of violence, and you're talking about in Chicago, over 100 people shot over the weekend, Sharpton said. We must have the balance of outrage, where we are outraged if police do things in blue uniforms, but outraged when we have people in blue jeans that are openly being criminal, acting like it's normal in our community. It is not normal. It should not be accepted. I must give the Reverend Sharpton credit for one time. Is he still relevant? I don't know. He still shows up at all these funerals whenever he can get his we can elbow his way into the funerals of the dead people shot by police, because the Dog Bite Man's events get you press, whereas those 4 kids that shot in Arkansas don't get you press. So he goes where you can get seen and raise money, because he's not one of the original grievance grifters, but he certainly is a grievance grifter OG. Let's put it that way. So interesting. So he says people should understand the underlying issues, but they shouldn't patronize us. That we do not know how to deal and challenge with criminal behavior. Civil rights leaders, some of us are meeting with President Biden this week, Sharpton said. We not only want to talk about voting rights, but police reform, but how we have to factor in dealing with gun violence. Again, no, it's people violence, not gun violence. And then you can't love our people when they're shot by police and then look the other way when we're shooting each other. We have to deal with both. I would certainly think you'd want to deal with the one that kills the most people, which is the latter. All right. Well, good for him. Figured it out. Revisionist history now. How will the future see defund the police? Yeah. Have you noticed lately? There are Democrats, starting with the top, Joe Biden and Jen Psaki, who's his spokesperson, how they're trying to frame this whole defund the police thing. They're saying that Joe Biden ran on solving crime and funding the police, and that the real defund the police movement comes from Republicans. Have you seen that? Have y'all noticed that? Well, I think that's what this has a little bit about. There's a little bit about this here. The current wave of what we charitably call revisionist history is casting everything about the past in a new light, using an explicitly racial lens. Doing so, as I've written before, is simple-minded and must by design ignore the vast majority of human history. As Leonidas Johnson put it on social media a few days back, I didn't realize this, but apparently history didn't start until white people showed up. And non-white countries have no history at all, unless white people did something to them. Otherwise, it was just kumbaya, my Lord everywhere. Amazing. Okay, this is actually talking about a different thing, but never mind. Amazing indeed. The Aztecs, the Mongols, and some other notoriously violent peoples of the past might like to have a word with today's wokes who are canceling their deeds from history. One of the wokes calling cards is to cast every error of the past as somehow based on race, and to claim that systems of human interaction are inherently racist, whether they were designed that way or not. Looking forward, if the current revisionist trend continues, what will the future make of the current defund the police movement? It was, here's how they're going to, this is true. Listen to this carefully. The defund the police movement. It was engineered and funded primarily by affluent white people. They built and funded the activist groups that have pushed the defund idea for years. It was enacted or inflicted, depending on your point of view, by other affluent people. Affluent college-educated urban white people are mostly behind the lenient district attorneys who keep releasing criminals when they even manage to get arrested. Being successful in this inherently racist system makes you racist, whatever your racial background, according to woke critical theory. I'm not making that up. That's what they say, sometimes quite clearly. So even those non-white city council members who voted for defunding the police are successful in this inherently racist system, making them racist consciously or not. I don't make up the rules. They do. And it's funny. It's kind of true, isn't it? So they're at least potentially racist because they're successful in the racist system. The white elites, Mayor Bill de Blasio, Mayor Steve Adler, Mayor Jenny Durkin, and the like, who defunded the police, voted to do something that systemically hurt people of color. Oh, except the White House is trying to blame the defund the police movement on Republicans. Isn't that funny? This is a tongue-in-cheek article, but think about it. Except for if you can't, you see, the thing is though, then you get the what's the mayor of Chicago's name? Why I'm blanking on her name or not? Because I want to call her Beetlejuice. And it's not Beetlejuice. But anyway, I mean, she also has, get this mess off my screen. What in the bloody hell? Oh, I see what happened. Lori Lightfoot, Lori Lightfoot also has a little crime problem, right? But she's not white, but she is her internalized white supremacy causing her to have have a district attorney who who's not so hard on crime. And it's, oh, you know what else is funny? This is funny too. Let me I'm gonna just pull this down for a second. So I can't remember what the name of the city the alderman, they call him alderman in Chicago. There's an alderman in Chicago who, when Trump came into office and he was talking about how, there's a major crime problem in Chicago. And remember when Donald Trump offered to send in National Guard troops to help out, right? And when he did that, not only did Mayor Lori Lightfoot kind of poo-poo the idea and said, you're not helping, yada, 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 that you probably cause more problems than you solve. One of the aldermen, and I wish I could remember his name, but he said he was calling Donald Trump, that's basically Donald Trump's a buffoon and a racist and this and that and yada, 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 and this, and this, that, and the third, all about Donald Trump. being terrible human being because he thought, he's going to bring the National Guard troops into Chicago. Well, that very same alderman, which most places call them city council people, the other day, remember there was the big mob running through Chicago, and they arrested a bunch of them, a bunch of kids, and kids running all through the Loop area, down shopping area, they're breaking shit and looting and whatnot. That alderman that said Donald Trump was an idiot for wanting to send National Guard troops, just the other day said, we need to put National Guard troops in the downtown and Loop areas so that the police can come back to the crime areas, because the police are being distracted and taken in to protect the Loop, and now they're not helping in the streets where the people are shooting each other. Oh, the irony. It's amazing. Good morning, Francis Barrett. How you doing? Tex AG, nice to see you. And Check Your Logic, welcome to the show. And no. Was his name? Not Anthony Napolitano. Here, let me look that up. Anthony Napolitano. It might be. Here, let's just. No. It was not Anthony Napolitano. Not him. No, he actually, I think he kind of made fun of them for not wanting the help. No, this was one of the black aldermen. He's very anti-Trump. And when Trump suggests that, he was just talking about, oh, that's just so racist and this, that. And now he just 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, he said, after the big, is it not 2 days ago? What's today? Thursday? Yeah, it was 2 days ago. He said, yeah, we need to bring some National Guard troops and put them downtown and protect downtown so we can have these police back out here where all these people are shooting each other up in his ward. So anyway. All right. I'm going to skip a couple of these, but I will give you the headlines here. Rudy Giuliani, who, I'll tell you about his problems too in a second. He's advanced a 5-step crime plan for Eric Adams because Eric Adams, we're just not 100% sure. I guess he finally won the New York mayor primary. But he's still one of these, we shouldn't be busting this kind of crime and that. And he's, getting all soft and shit. And he was there when Giuliani cleaned up New York City, when they were having the, bad crime problems in the 70s and 80s. And, so anyway, he came up with a 5-point plan for Eric Adams. And it just, in a nutshell, restore the anti-crime units, reinstitute a modified policy of stop and frisk. Now that's Fourth Amendment. I don't know about that. I don't know what that means. Refund the police. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's get the police. Let's see if we can build the police back up and maybe not do shit that messes up their morale. Restore qualified immunity and morale. I know a lot of people don't like that, but you know what? sounds like broken windows and stop and frisk work. Well, broken windows certainly did. Stop and frisk. There's an issue there, but I think you do have to stop low-level crimes because people get more bold after doing low-level crimes, and they do bigger crimes and bigger crimes. So anyway, restored qualified immunity and scrap Cuomo's bail reform. Yeah, the bail reforms are a problem too. Anyway. So that's there. I'm going to go through that too deep. Dr. Fauci. Oh, here, FTG for. Can we just have an FTG for Dr. Fauci because that's just the right thing to do. I'm just saying. He tells people hesitant about the vaccines just to get over it. White House senior medical advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci said Wednesday that people hesitant about the getting vaccinated against stupid 19 should just get over it. Fauci appeared on MSNBC's All In with Chris Hayes, where he went on a rant equating people's hesitancy towards the vaccine's safety to a political statement. this is complicated. We're not just asking anybody to make any political statements one way or another. So many diseases I deal with don't have solutions. It's very frustrating. You don't have a treatment and you don't have a vaccine, Fauci added. Here we have a vaccine that's highly, highly effective. Now, look, y'all, I am pro-vaccine, although having had COVID already, I'm less of a candidate to get it right now. So I'm just holding off and maybe until some of the research is done if I really need it. But so far, everything I've read says, and I'm probably not going to need it. But I'm not anti-vaccine. But I also feel people should make choices based on their risk. And the funny thing is, what's happening right now is there's a big propaganda push for this, and I'm fine. Where is it? Where's the one that I want to? Here it is. Here's a propaganda piece from, again, of course, this is CNN. Here's the propaganda piece. So they're really touting this. In Maryland, every person who died of stupid 19 in June was unvaccinated. That's not an aberration, experts say. So they're touting the fact that, and not just in Maryland, they're doing this all over the country. Last month, 130 people died of COVID-19 in Maryland. None of them were vaccinated, according to Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. In addition, unvaccinated people made up 95% of new COVID cases in the state and 93% of new stupid 19 hospitalizations. And so I guess I'm curious how many totals those are, because at least because the first article I read in this wouldn't even give you a number of how many people that is. You know, is it out of 20,000, or 20,000 people died and all of them were not vaccinated, or is it 2,200 or 100? But it's 130 people. Is it weird to me to frame this way, though? 130 people died of stupid 19. So the big number here is they want you to say, oh God, get off my screen. In Maryland, every person who died of COVID-19 in June was unvaccinated. Okay. It would be odd if they had been vaccinated. Exactly, Advocatus Diaboli. That's what I'm saying. So, and so I'm thinking, aren't all the numbers for this going down dramatically across the country? In fact, I was looking at I went on the Maryland, the site where they were talking about this, and there were many days that no one died of stupid 19. And then the other thing too, because again, down here, they're giving you percentages. In addition, unvaccinated people made up 95% of new COVID cases. So some people who get vaccinated still get COVID. Okay. And 93% of new COVID hospitalizations. But again, how many is that when it's still going down? They're at a low since the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, I guess it makes sense that if you vaccinate the vulnerable people, they're probably not going to get it, or they're not going to die from it. So, okay, does that mean everybody that didn't get, I don't know. It's just a weird headline. And then let's see. 3 scientists dropped names from Lancet statement on COVID origins. The Lancet on July 5th published a statement reasserting that there's no scientifically validated evidence to suggest stupid 19 escaped from a lab, signed mostly by the same team of scientists who dismissed the lab leak hypothesis in February 2020. But the new statement is missing 3 signatories from the original one, including William Koresh, who has ties to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Koresh is the executive vice president for health policy at Eco Health Alliance, the group that was funding gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab with grants from the National Institute of Health. EcoHealth's president, Peter Daszak, organized the original statement, whose signatures included Koresh, Peter Paliz of the Icahn School of Medicine, and Bernard Roisman of the University of Chicago. Those 3 signatures are all absent from the new statement, though Daszak signed both. Asked whether he changed his mind about the likelihood of a lab leak, Paliz replied, "No comment." Koresh and Roisman did not respond to inquiries. So these guys are taking their names off of that. That's a start. We might be hearing more about that later. All right, enough of this. Let's go on. There's more news on Rudy Giuliani. So now not only is Rudy Giuliani suspended from practicing law in the state of New York, now he is suspended from practicing law in Washington, D.C. The witch hunt continues. Rudy Giuliani's law license has been suspended in Washington, D.C., according to an order filed Wednesday by the District of Columbia Court of Appeals. The status of Giuliani's suspension in D.C. is contingent upon the outcome of a review of his earlier suspension in New York. Why? Aren't they different places? Shouldn't they be doing their own review? I don't know. So anyway, the former New York City mayor had his law license suspended in New York on June 24th for making, quote, knowingly false and misleading factual statements to support his claim that the presidential election was stolen from the former President Donald Trump. The Supreme Court of the State of New York Appellate Division ruled. Those statements, quote, threaten public interest and warrant interim suspension from the practice of law, the ruling read. Well, I think Giuliani might have enough money socked away that he can get by without practicing law for a while. But still, this is outrageous. All right, I gotta kind of push through this. Douglas Wilder says fellow Democrat. Virginia's first black governor slams Terry McAuliffe for marginalizing black candidates. Interesting. Former Virginia Governor Douglas. This is just. I'm no fan of McAuliffe, but it's just like can we all just stop throwing out race cards here and there? I mean, you know how when you throw a card like across the room, like playing cards, you try to flick them to go into something, and sometimes if you hit wrong, it'll cut you. We're getting 1,000 paper cuts from these race cards being thrown. Good Lord. Former Virginia Governor Douglas Wilder accused fellow Democrat Terry McAuliffe of blocking black candidates in the state's June primary and criticized the gubernatorial nominee for standing by a pair of political allies who wore blackface. Wilder, who became the nation's first elected African-American governor in 1989, blasted McAuliffe for campaigning with Governor Ralph Northam and Attorney General Mark Herring during a Friday radio interview. In 2019, both Virginia Democrats admitted to wearing blackface while in college, and McAuliffe quickly called for Northam's resignation. Just 2 years later, however, McAuliffe said he was honored to have Northam's endorsement for his gubernatorial campaign and has praised Herring's leadership on the campaign trail. Wilder said the about face sends the wrong message to residents. You know what? Maybe just this time, Governor Wilder has a point. The about face on Governor Blackface and Attorney General Blackface, I think maybe just, I think that might be can you see the campaign ad? I'm just seeing a campaign in there by the Republican candidate that, having Terry McAuliffe campaigning with these two guys, and they just put blackface on their faces and, saying, is this really what you want for your Virginia governor? I don't know. Oh, man. Blue on blue crime. In Alabama, Senate candidate shatters fundraising records, and it's not who Trump endorsed. Oh, no. Alabama Republican Senate candidate Katie Britt announced that she raised $2.24 million since launching her campaign, shattering the state's quarterly fundraising records. Britt, the former chief of staff to retiring Republican Senator Richard Shelby, announced her campaign in June 8th, reaching her record-breaking milestone in just 23 days, according to a local outlet. Damn! In 23 days, she raised $2.24 million? Goodness gracious. According to local outlet Yellowhammer News, she resigned from leading the Business Council of Alabama to run for Shelby's seat. Okay. Britt added that over 90% of donations come from within Alabama, which that's another one too, man. I'm sure the Democratic candidates from some of these southern states get so much outside money, so good for her. It's interesting. Let's see. It's clear that the people of our state know that we don't just need a senator from Alabama. We need a senator for Alabama, she said Tuesday. Our Alabama First message is resonating strongly with hardworking families who want to protect our Christian conservative values and see real results. Okay. Trump, let's see. Trump endorsed Mo Brooks. And then there's a businesswoman running with the largest self-funded campaign. So this woman's done a good job of raising money, and I don't know why Trump I know why Trump endorsed Mo Brooks, because Mo Brooks is a loyalist Trump. So Trump is loyal to people who are loyal to him. But that's wild. That's a lot of money. Here we go. Biden administration will shift nearly $1 billion in stupid 19 funds to pay to house migrant children at the border. Border crisis is still raging. They're going to relocate $860 million in funds meant for COVID relief programs to the Health and Human Services Department in order to cover the cost of housing the thousands of child migrants who remain in U.S. custody. Anybody? Hi, Katie. How you doing? Let me just get through the rest of the headlines because I do got to finish up the show. Rashida Tlaib is pushing for defunding of ICE. Immigration agencies say they terrorize migrant communities. Anybody surprised? You can read that one on your own. Trump has joined in on a lawsuit against big tech too. So there's a class action suit against I think Twitter and Facebook, and Dershowitz here says that it could shake things up considerably. I'm not sure. So Wednesday on Newsmax TV National Report, Harvard Law professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz reacted to the former President Donald Trump's announcing a class action lawsuit against Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey and Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg. Dershowitz, who shared he is deeply involved in the issue of censorship and was asked to be an expert witness, predicted the lawsuit will shake up things considerably. He said censorship by big tech is unacceptable and inconsistent with the spirit of free speech. I'm still wary of these lawsuits, and I don't know why. Are we balancing out if the lawsuits force the government to treat at least the social media companies like a utility, like like a phone company or something like that, but they're still private companies, and the problem is they bastardize Section 230 because they get the protections from it, but I don't think they follow the spirit of that law, where it should be these platforms. The reason you get the protection is because so that when people post things that you don't agree with, or can cause problems, you don't get in trouble for it. You can't be sued for it. The people who post do, but they kind of do the best of both worlds by doing editorial editing or editorial removing of posts, or forcing you to play along with these stupid 19 rules of the CDC, or not even be able to question certain things that the government tells you. They're acting as a government arm and almost a, dare I say it, a ministry of truth. So I'm torn on these, whether or not these companies have the right to edit or not, or to, who could be on their who could be on their platforms. The problem with private companies, any other tries to come up, they get shut down. Look at what they tried to do to Parler. Well, yeah, and by the way, good morning, Crytho Madness. That's a new name I haven't seen before. Yeah, and right now, what's that Sun Valley conference they have every year, where all these companies go out there and they do their mergers, and they have, it's almost like a meeting of the minds on who they're going to screw over this time. And it's really interesting. I don't know. Anyway, welcome to the show, by the way. I haven't seen your name up here before. Maybe you've been here before, but I don't see everybody as they come in. And welcome. I appreciate it. Big tech just attacks any upcoming competitors. Yeah, they do. It's going to be interesting. I'm fascinated because I went on that, what's that called? Getter. And the interface looks so much like Twitter's. I'm wondering how long it's going to be before they have some kind of a lawsuit. Although Gab does kind of look like it too now, but it's going to be interesting. All right. Since I'm not going to be able to get to these, I'm just going to let you know what else is going to be in the news tab today. 36 states and DC take Google to court on Wednesday. The attorney generals of 36 states and the District of Columbia filed an antitrust suit against Google. The bipartisan lawsuit echoes a similar case that Fortnite maker Epic Games brought against the search engine giant last August, challenging Google's surcharge on apps that uses its Play Store. Multiple AGs from both parties are in this lawsuit. We'll see how that goes. It's funny because being the biggest search engine too, and the way they manipulate their search engine, I wonder if that's going to be brought up in any of these lawsuits. Good morning, Isabella. Nice to see you. I'm always about. I normally just watch your video replays. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you enjoy the show. Also, Cuomo's. We talked about Cuomo and his gun violence emergency, the health emergency, and the article here about it's nothing but a shameless gun grab. Yeah. I cringe at the fact that whenever something happens, or whenever Cuomo does something, my governor inevitably within a few weeks tries to do the same thing. And for him to call this, the gun violence a health emergency, trying to use the same powers they use for COVID, it makes me nervous. I think there's going to be some lawsuits. Just saying. Also, apparently 4 of the alleged assassins of the Haiti president were killed, and 2 others were arrested. So they're finding some of these people. I don't know any motives yet, but they are getting information on those. Let's see here. Thank you, Isabella. First sponsor of the day. Thank you through YouTube Super Chat. Lady Boomer House and hopefully a gazebo. No. There will be no gazebo. How do you know about the gazebo? Did I say something about the gazebo? I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you so much for sponsoring the show. I really do greatly appreciate that. Who talked about did I say something about a gazebo, or do you know my wife from somewhere else? I'm just curious. Anyway, Afghan soldiers are fleeing northern districts as northern districts follow the Taliban. You know what? I'm at the point where in Afghanistan, if we leave and they don't handle their own internal squabbles, that's their part of the world. Let them have it. I'm just saying. If Biden would have followed Trump's plan as far as getting troops out, I think it was by May, and because that was the agreement, then somebody over there would say, oh, the U.S. is actually living up to one of their agreements this time, right? However, instead, he decides to make a symbolic gesture to pull them out by September 11th. And that was going against the agreement that the United States already made with them. So now the Taliban just saying, fuck it, we're going to roll over all these places because you already broke this agreement because you have, you all are fucking schizophrenic. And it's funny because there was a little video the other day talking about how the, one of the news reporters was asking some Biden administration official, the Biden administration official said, we have not gone back on any of the foreign policy agreements that we had when the Trump administration was here. And the reporter is like, and he kind of challenged him, I challenge you to name one foreign policy agreement we've gone back on. And he just rattles off 5. And it was just like, oh. And so he had egg on his face. I don't have that one handy, but did we show that one yesterday? I don't know. Anyway. All right. And let's see. Biden promises toughness on Putin, but asserts latest ransomware attacks caused minimal damage. Yeah. You'll just have to check that one out. Also, there is a court deal. Oh. Now, the court deals repeated blows to race-based COVID stimulus. Remember the guy who was... I think he was trying to get he was a farmer and he was trying to get some relief through the Biden's COVID plan. And they said he couldn't because they set aside a bunch for black farmers and he sued. And the judge said, yeah, y'all can't do that. That would be like that would be against the law. Well, let's see. I guess 3 judges ruled against, oh, here we go. Several major civil rights lawsuits have compensated farmers for specific acts of discrimination. However, these settlements and other related actions did not address the systemic and cumulative impacts of discrimination over a number of decades that America Rescue Plan now begins to address. But 3 judges who ruled against the program highlighted 2 legal problems for the administration. First, all 3 said that the concern among congressional Democrats and administration officials about general racial disparities is not enough to justify race-based benefit. They ruled that if the government is going to condition loan forgiveness on race, it must tie that remedy to particular acts of intentional discrimination for which the government is responsible. So the judges are saying, nah. All right, let's see. I gotta get rid of this. And all right, so, they found the body count in Florida at the condo is now, I think, at 53. They found 10 more bodies. And now they're at a point where it's no longer going to be a search and rescue effort. And it's just going to be, what do they call it? A recovery effort. They have basically given up on finding people alive, and now they're just looking to recover. Sad news in Florida, and rest in peace to those who perished, and prayers for those families. And then there's just a couple more. Energy expert debunks AOC suggestion to immediately turn off Puerto Rico's coal power. She's bitching about the recovery from the hurricane in Puerto Rico and her abuela living down there, and now she wants to turn off their power. It's like there's a disconnect there. But oh my gosh, she just wants green energy in Puerto Rico so bad. It's an interesting article. Also, celebrities demand Biden stop Minnesota pipeline project that brought millions of dollars to Native American tribes. So the white liberals are hurting indigenous POC again. That's just a theme. And let's see, the final last 2. Okay, a couple articles on how the right owns the American flag except for this Mark Zuckerberg hell. And we were kind of talking about that yesterday or a couple of days ago, where some lefties are just rejecting our own flag because too many on the right have taken it over. If I see a flag, I know that their political affiliation is probably Trumpian. But there are people on the left who want to embrace the flag also. And then finally, let's see, far left's anti-Americanism reaction to July 4th proved they polarized patriotism. I don't know if it's so much they polarized patriotism, but they certainly polarized the definition of patriotism. So we saw that survey the other day where when they were saying, what kind of things are patriotic, where a lot on the left said getting a COVID-19 stab is patriotic. And so I don't know if it's necessarily disparities, like I said, in patriotism. We just have different definitions. And then finally, the last one you'll find on the list here is a little bit about Ibram X. Kendi, the how to be anti-racist guy, and what kind of life he lived as a kid. Basically growing up very middle class and kind of rejecting all the work that his parents done. Here's my last thought on this whole, not just the critical race theory, but the anti-racist things and all the protests and things that have been going on over the last year. When I look at what has happened in the last year and with the Black Lives Matter movement, the protests over the Man Bites Dog events, and just the general state of where we are in race relations, I think to myself, there are civil rights leaders from the 60s are probably rolling over in their graves going, hey, what are y'all doing? And also, I think of just the things that have happened in my lifetime where there was so much progress and so many things where, I think about the high school I went to in the 80s, where it was a very culturally diverse high school. And it was like we had a sense of togetherness. And if you look, it's funny because my senior class officers was like a United Nations. We had a black female shot putter was our class president, and our class vice president was who's our vice president? Oh, it was let's see. The secretary was a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. We had a Chinese guy. We had a Hispanic guy. We had an Irish Catholic girl, and we had there was. It was like you couldn't have. It's almost like they were making a TV show, a current TV show where they had to try to fit in every ethnic category. Well, that was my senior class officers in my high school. And I think of all the progress that was made over the 70s in my lifetime, because I know when I was a little kid, there was people still calling me the N-word and with the hard R and all that shit, because I was the only black kid or one of 4 black kids in my elementary school. And there's kids who still use that word. And as I grew and we learned and we realized that people were just people, and we went through the busing area, the busing era had its problems. But you also got to have kids that you weren't used to having around you in your school. You got to be on sports teams with these kids. You got to do different activities with these kids where you just realize, hey, we're just a bunch of kids from the same place, and we're all, going in the same direction. And some point, I don't know, maybe it was during a certain president who never disavowed the excuses that people made for him, or who never you know, when people would criticize him, someone made this point this morning. I think it might have been Randy Monkey. I don't know. Where when people criticized Barack Obama for things that every Democrat gets criticized for, and they're not him necessarily, but the people protecting him would always make it about, well, it's because he's a black man. It's because it's race. You're just being racist. If you criticize Barack Obama, you're racist. And Barack Obama never disavowed that. He wouldn't say it himself, but he certainly let everyone around him say it. And now you look back with some of the things he says now, and he says it too. Well, they're just not going to let a black man do what he's going to do, right? And I just I'm like, it's a little bit depressing. It's a little bit depressing just knowing that we're backtracking hard. And the idea that some people even we're backtracking so hard that some people want to resegregate themselves. And not see the big picture, not see what's really killing us. And we're reverting back to those, I would call them the Murderapolis days. I live in Murderapolis. And we're going backwards, all in the name of anti-racism. Let's exacerbate everything based on your melanin content. But then I look in my little suburb, my little third ring suburb here, which is not super diverse, but there's people of plenty of races around where I live, not as many as I would be in the urban area. And it's funny. We all seem to get along pretty good. My neighbors are great. There's a few other black families in my neighborhood that, they show up at the neighborhood events. Not as many as there would be if I lived in an urban area, but it seems to work out. And I hate to quote Rodney King, but can't we all just get along? But, this movement is not about advancing any kind of harmony. And that's the problem. It's not about advancing harmony. It's not about being able to live together. It's not about trying to have people reach their potential, but it's about power. See, the people doing the protesting maybe not realize it, but the people leading the protesting really know about it, because one of them just retired with 4 houses and probably a lot of money in the bank. Grievance gifting is an old game. We just heard from one of the OGs, and he's starting to see it, that, maybe, we got to worry about the man bite dog events. But, hey, people are starting to die because we're not paying attention or protesting or, out in the streets about the day-to-day events. I found it really interesting. Everyone heard about that guy in New Jersey, and I haven't talked about him at all. The little fat white guy in New Jersey who was out there yelling at his neighbor. I'm talking about. And they arrested him. He was throwing N-bombs and whatever at his neighbor and saying, "Oh, police aren't going to do nothing to me." And they finally arrested him after there was protest outside his house. He was dumb enough to tell him everyone his address. He's on video. And so that made national news, and everyone's talking about that guy. And I'm thinking, really? That incident between 2 neighbors made national news because 2 guys had a neighborhood argument and one guy started throwing out some N-bombs. So everyone decides to go protest that. You know, of those 150 people or so that were protesting outside that guy's townhouse or apartment or whatever it is, how many of those people do you think know a single name that I mentioned a couple days ago from all the shootings and deaths in that city that people talk about too much because it happens there a lot? Have any of those people ever even heard a single name? Because I know they can name every man bite dog events that's been promoted in the news. The names I talked about today: George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin or whatever, Michael Brown. You know all those names. Some of those names are from 6, 7, 8 years ago. But do any of those people protesting know the name of a kid that was shot in their own neighborhood a week ago? Do any of those people know a name? Did they protest? Are they out in the street protesting gangs? The people that are killing people every day, and not just on the Dawg Bites Man events, or not just the little fat white guy calling his neighbor the N-bomb. I have to give the Reverend Al some credit today. I am not a fan of Reverend Al at all, but he hit the nose. Nose on the head. He hit the nail on the head with that one. How about focusing on some of the other crime? All right. On that note, what I'd like you to do, if you can, I put a video up yesterday asking a question of the day for tomorrow. If you can go in and maybe put a comment in that comment section, or better yet, here's what would be very helpful, because I want to get some more answers. I want to look at some of the replies of a video I did yesterday regarding the question of the week. I'm going to start doing that, putting out a question of the week where people can put answers in the comment section, and then we will discuss those on Friday during our open mic show, which we are going to have an open mic show tomorrow. And this question of the week is talking about the 4th of July, because we had a couple Congress people saying that the 4th of July is not a holiday for Black people. And so I want a variety of answers. So if you could share it with your leftist friends, if you can share it with people you know, and whatever Black people you know, share it with them and see if they'll throw an answer in that question, because I'm just curious what kind of answers I get. And especially I want to hear from people who think that Black people shouldn't celebrate American Independence Day, the 4th of July. So if you can share that video out, that would be a huge help to me. And other than that, that's all I got. I'm running late. I got to go. So that's it. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button, share the stream, throw a couple bucks in the tip jar sometime, and put a comment in the comment section. That's all I have for today. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.